It's another video about how we're going to learn how to draw graphs and such. Okay, so in this video, we are going to learn about the stem and leaf plot, okay, or stem and leaf graph, or a lot of people just call it stem and leaf. And if you have never taken a stats class, or if you've never done anything in like genetics, population genetics, evolution, if you've never taken a bio class, it probably sounds really weird to call math stem and leaf, but so the first step in doing a stem and leaf is, I would say, probably learning why it's called a stem and leaf, because it's very confusing. It's weird, right? It's weird. So why in the world would you do that? Well, because just look at the structure of it. Okay, in a way, you can kind of see how this is your stem, okay? It's a stick or whatever. And then it's like you can grow leaves on it, okay? So it starts growing leaves. And it, depending on like the data that you have, it's gonna, grow leaves, all right? So the leaves are added as we start tallying up the length of the leaves. Okay, so I'll show you exactly what this kind of means. So, well, these are kind of like included in the leaves actually. But anyway, yeah, so on the next slide, we're gonna actually try to understand exactly how to create that and why these are actually leaves. So let's do that. But first of all, let's go ahead and come up with a fake situation so we can put all this in some sort of perspective and really understand what we're doing. All right, so here is a fake situation. Let's see, we have data from 42 different patients who visited a primary care clinic and were referred to mental health, or they were referred to like a mental health clinic, right? So the number of days between the referral and their first mental health appointment was collected. That means the day from when they, their primary care physician submitted for referral, okay, and then the referral was approved, and then they were able to make their first appointment for the mental health thing, okay? So from day of submission of the referral to the day that they finally got to have their mental health appointment, that is what we're measuring, the number of days in between. Okay, which is pretty important, all right? It just shows us how, efficient our healthcare system really is. So if you can do this type of, study as well. All right, so building the stem and leaf. So this is the data set that we have, right? We just have a bunch of numbers, and remember that these numbers correspond to how many days since they got the referral and were able to make their first appointment, to get their mental health going. Okay, so the very first step in building one of these stem and leaf plots is to draw your stem. So that's what we did right here. We drew the stem. Okay, now we're going to start plotting this. All right, so really it's so easy. When you start to know what you're doing, because all you got to do when you build the stem and leaf is you just go straight to the first data point. We don't have to put these in order. We don't have to do anything crazy, nothing complicated. Just take the first data point, right? It's a 30. So the first digit is going to go here, right, on the left side of your stem, and the second digit is going to go on the right side of your stem, okay? And what this is going to make up is as we start to build this stem and leaf graph or stem and leaf plot, we're gonna call this the 3-leaf, okay? So what this is gonna mean is like every patient data, for every patient that had to wait about 30-something days for them to get into, see their mental health practitioner. Okay, so the next data set is 27. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the 2, Okay, and we're going to place it right there on the left side of the stem, and we're going to put the 7 on the right side of the stem. Okay, whatever's in your ones column is going to go on the right side of the stem. Okay, and then the other stuff will go on the left side. Other stuff. Okay, that's the basic idea here. Okay, so you can just, and as you go through your data, you can literally just cross things out after you've already used them, just so you know that you've used it already and you don't, replot it. Okay, so keep going. Now we can skip ahead, we can go down a little bit and go, okay, so now we got a 12 and we got a 42. Again, you put your 2 here because that's in the ones column, and then your 1 you're going to put right here. That's in the tens column. Same thing with here. You put your 4 in the left because that is in your tens column, and you're going to put your 2 in the ones column, which is on the right. Same thing. Okay. Same thing with the next data point. You got your 35 here, so we're going to go ahead. Since we already have a 3, because we already did something in the 30s, we don't even have to put 3 down anymore. We just leave the 3 as is, and we add the 5. Okay, that's what we did right there. Next one. Now we have another one that's in the 40s. So we do the same thing we did with the last one. So we already have a 4 there, so we don't have to worry about writing that again, but you can go ahead and put a 7 there. And now you're going to notice that you're going to start building up all this. You're going to start adding more numbers to here, and these are going to start getting longer. Your leaves are going to get longer. So when you start to really do that, you also want to make sure that you keep everything in alignment. Okay, try to keep it all even, because you don't want them, when you start working with the data a little bit later, and it's going to become really difficult to read if they're not in alignment. Like, what if you had like a 5, a 6, 8, and then you had like a 4 and a 3 like that? Well, they're not in alignment at all, so you are going to make some mistakes when you start working with your data in that way. Okay, we need to be able to make sure that they're in this, specific invisible column, that all the numbers are sort of in alignment. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so just you guys kind of get the idea of how this works. So we're skipping ahead. Pretend we covered all this data so far. Okay, even where were we? Oh yeah. So we covered these ones, and I don't know if covering ones is confusing to you guys, but what you're going to do here is, since you have nothing in the tens column, you're just going to put a 0. Okay, so whenever you reach numbers like that, just put a 0 in place, and then go ahead and put this data. So of course we have a 3, boom, and we had that 0. That's where that's coming from. Okay, and same thing here. Like, now we're going down here where we have larger datas, larger numbers, but you're going to use the exact same concept. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the 5 down and the 1 right here. Okay, and then moving forward, now we have another even larger number. We're going to do the exact same concept. We're going to put the 7 in the left-hand side, and you're going to throw the 1 in the right, on the right of the stem. Oh, and now look what happens when we have the biggest number of all. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. What are we going to do? We're going to do this. Okay, we're going to take whatever's in the ones column, your 5. That guy's going to go right there. And then we're going to create a larger tens column. Okay, so now it's going to be 10 instead of like, a single digit. All right? So it's going to be like that. It's pretty easy, just, getting, just getting with the flow of this and really kind of understanding the concept. It's very, very easy. So I hope you guys get it, but if you don't, feel free to ask me why, or, ask me why we're doing this or how to do this. All right, so let's just recap a little bit, and then we'll discuss a little bit of what's going on with stem and leaf. So anyway, These are both different ways you can organize quantitative data. And remember, what is quantitative data? These are where they're using numerical measurements. Okay, we're not doing any kind of qualitative data here. We're not going to look at favorite colors. You're not going to look at, classes that qualitative data. It's like not even coming to me a good example, but I mean, colors, favorite foods, qualitative data, you get the idea. You already know, but you already know quantitative data is what we're looking at right now. And this is how we're learning how to organize it properly so that we can read it better and we can understand what we're actually looking at. Okay, so two different ways. These are really great ways of organizing your quantitative data: frequency tables and stem and leaf. We already learned how to do a frequency table, which was a lot of fun. Remember, we got to set up classes and we did class widths, and then we looked at the class limits and everything like that, and it was great. We had so much fun. We even had formulas that we, like a special formula we used to create these the class widths for each class limit. So it was pretty great. And then we got to count the frequencies in each class and just put those frequencies in. Okay, and then, and then after that, we were like, oh, let's find the relative frequency so we can figure out what the proportion or the percentage of each frequency is to the entire sample size. And that was pretty cool in my opinion, and I hope you agree. But the thing about frequency tables are that there are a lot of pre-calculations. You got to do some work there. You got to do some math, some calculating. Even though it's not that much, but you do have to put in some work. Now with the stem and leaf, as you saw, you do not need to set up any kind of classes or class widths. You don't need to count nothing. Anything like that, really. You don't need to tally up data properly, put anything into any specific order or anything like that. Your stem and leaf is pretty quick and easy to do. All we had to do is just, the only thing that you really need to make sure is that you're not entering the data in more than once. Okay, so you make sure that you cross out the data as you go. I feel like that's a really good practice. And also, you want to make sure that your leaves are like in alignment. The numbers, the data in your leaves are lined up, okay? So they're not kind of, all messed up and you're not reading it all weird. But generally, they're a lot easier to do and they're a lot quicker to do, okay? So, let's dive a little bit, let's say a little bit more things about the stem and leaves, okay? So, as we kind of saw when we're looking at how to do a stem and leaf, we were allowed, you should have realized that you're kind of allowed to do unordered, okay? Your numbers in your leaf section can actually be out of order, okay? Like we could have had a stem and leaf, right? Where the data was like this: 7, 2, 7, 9, maybe 7, 2, 3. Okay, I'm just copying the first 3 right there. It would have been okay to write it like this, okay? There's no real requirement to have them in perfect order. It's a good idea to write them in order, especially if you're going to be using this data for something else and you think it would be great for you to, so you can read it easier, when you're analyzing your data later. So it's definitely a good idea, and you should put them in order after you've already organized your, put your data out there and created your leaves, and you know exactly what which data sets are going into what leaf and all that, then yes, that's a good idea. Go ahead and put them all in order. That's really good practice, but it's not required, okay? You don't have to. Then another thing when you're doing these studies, sometimes it's actually a good idea to make your stem and leaf, and then you can use this, okay, your data here, to create your frequency table, okay? But Professor Hussein, what are the classes gonna be? Oh my God. Well, you know what? You're gonna go ahead and make each of these leaves part of the class, okay? Because as you probably figured out that each one of these stands for like a group of 10, okay? So this is really like 1 through 10, if you will. Or like, no, it's not really 1 through 10. It's like 1 through 9, okay? That's what this class is. And this class is really 10 through 11. Or, no, it's really 10 through 19, sorry. And this class is really 20 through 29. This class is 30 through 39. And sorry, I think I messed this one up. This is, wait, no, I didn't. No, it's good. It's good. So yeah, these are what your classes are for real when you're doing your stem and leaf. And that's how it always is, because we put everything in multiples of 10 on your stem and leaf, if you haven't noticed already. So whatever was in your tens column of your data, remember how we separated them when we put all the data in their place when we drew our stem and leaf. Okay, so if we wanted to, we can go ahead and use a stem and leaf and convert that into a frequency table. And just by, you taking this, making these your classes, and then go ahead and put in your frequencies. Okay. And then, of course, you have your relative frequencies, so then you make your proportion that way, and yeah, it would be great, But you can do that, just to let you know. Okay, just a quick recap, and I know I've said each of these points several times throughout this video, but let's just go ahead and drive it home and really put this in our heads. Stem and leaf is just another way to organize quantitative data. Quantitative data, numerical measurements, okay? Now, a stem and leaf is definitely a lot easier and quicker to make than a frequency table, and that is because it requires so much less preparation, okay? Frequency tables, remember, we had a couple formulas that we had to go through to figure out some of the different sections, different pieces of the frequency table, and of course the relative frequency table as well. So there is some math that you have to do when you're doing that and you're organizing that data. But with the stem and leaf, not so much. And that is why sometimes it's easier if you're if you know that you need to make a frequency table and you don't want to go through all the math and all the prep work, okay, and you just want to kind of go with the flow and not have to think too much, it might actually be easier for you to create your stem and leaf first and then convert that into a frequency table, okay? And like I said on the last slide, was how you do that is you're going to take whatever is on the left side of your stem, okay, and those are going to be your classes. Okay, and remember how we went through those? Since those are all multiples of 10, you're just going to take those class widths and make those your class limits in your frequency table, and then of course here is your frequency. So I can help you put data in order to create a frequency table if you wanted to, and then of course if you needed to do a relative frequency, that would be perfect. Okay, so I hope you guys learned a lot. If you do have any questions, please let me know. You guys know how to contact me. And let me see. So for, let's see, for a stem and leaf. Okay, I want you guys, as an extra credit assignment, if you guys are up for it, for this lecture video. If you guys want some extra credit, in the comment section, just go ahead and give an example of what you would use a stem and leaf plot for. Okay, give me an actual example. Okay, like an actual problem, kind of like an example problem. Don't just say you use it for quantitative data. No, do not say that. If you want extra credit, give me an example problem of what you would use a stem and leaf plot for. Okay? Other than that, have a great day.